Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So we are today looking at the fourth chapter of this book, Beyond Birth and Death. First chapter, Srila Prabhupada introduces that how we are not these bodies, right? That we are spirit soul. We should go beyond the bodily needs. Second chapter, we understood that there are planets which are not permanent in this world. Where do you want to go? Which way? We have the choice. At death, we can choose where do we want to go. That science was spoken in second chapter. Third chapter spoke about how that we should look beyond the material world. Material world, any place that we go, Brahma Bhuvana Loka, anywhere, any of the planets in the material world is a place, is a temporary place, right? It is a place of return. Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punar Avartino Arjuna. So one should aspire to go beyond these material planets and aspire for the spiritual world. So seems like that is all. Now let's see what further Prabhupada wants to tell us about the nature of the spiritual world. So this is chapter 4, which is entitled as The Sky Beyond the Universe. So we'll begin. If even the higher planets in this universe are subject to birth and death, as we saw in the third chapter, why do great yogis strive for elevation to them? A good question. Why are the yogis who are meditating aspire to go to Chandraloka, the planet of the moon, aspire to go to Surya, the sun, aspire to go to even Swarga, the planet of Indra? Why are they wanting to go here and there? If every place in this material world is just a place of, it's like a retreat, you have some money, you go for a vacation to some country or some place. And when your money is up, when you finish your money, then you have to come back again, isn't it? Come back again and work. So why are they aspiring for this? So Prabhupada says, although they may have many mystic powers, these yogis still have the tendency to want to enjoy the facilities of material life. So their enjoyment is a little higher enjoyment. There's various levels of enjoyment. Gross enjoyment is physical enjoyment, trying to enjoy the senses. Higher than that, you have mental enjoyment, people who like to speculate. Higher than that is intellectual enjoyment. A person wants to actually control and think and create, right? And highest than that is spiritual enjoyment, which is enjoyment of the soul in serving Krishna. So the yogis here, they're on the intellectual plane, right? They have siddhis where they can control nature, control people, control things. And this is how they want to enjoy, move here, move there. So that enjoyment tendency is still there. And therefore, it is said that, people who like to travel, they like to visit different places. Mahabharata mentions, that people who like to see what is happening in different places. It is a symptom of an enjoying tendency. It's a symptom of lust, actually. Because wherever you go, if we think about it, even if we go on a vacation, what are the things that we do? Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. That's the only thing people do. It's just enjoying the same things in a different place, in a different way, thinking that this is going to give me enjoyment. People spend thousands and thousands of whatever currency they have, dollars or whatever, just to do the same activities that they're doing at home in a different place. So what is the idea of this? What extra enjoyment are they going to get out of this? Therefore, it's just sense gratification because there's no point to it. On the higher planets, it is possible to live for incredibly long lifetimes. The time calculation on these planets is indicated by Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Okay, the time duration is much longer in the higher planets. We saw this in chapter 2 as well. Sahasra yuga paryantam ahar yat brahmano vidu ratrim yuga sahasrantam teho ratra vido janaha. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together, 1,000 ages, 1,000 yugas taken together is the duration of Brahma's one day. Okay, so 1,000 yugas taken together, 1,000 yuga cycles. That means Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga. This cycle for yugas, 1,000 times if it repeats, is just one day time of Brahma. And such also is the duration of his night. Right? So just 1,000 cycles of these 4 yugas is just one day time, 12 hours of Brahma. Imagine how long Brahma is living. And Brahma lives for 100 years. One yuga covers 4,300,000 or 43 lakh years. This number multiplied by 1,000, another 1,000 add to this, is calculated to be 12 hours of Brahma on the planet of Brahmaloka. Similarly, another 12 hours period covers the night. 30 such days equal to a month, 12 months in a year, and Brahma lives for 100 years. Life on such a planet is indeed long, yet even after trillions and trillions of years, it's like some 200 something trillion billion years, The inhabitants of Brahmaloka have to face death. Unless we go to the spiritual planets, there is no escape from death. So one may live a short life or long life. It's not about quantity, it's about quality of life rather than quantity of life. So one can enjoy for thousands and trillions of years. Still the fate, the end result is the same, death and rebirth. Avyaktat vyakta sarvaha prabhavanti ahar agame ratri agame praliyante tatre vyakta samagyate. When Brahma's day is manifest, the multitude of living entities comes into being. And when the arrival of Brahma's night, they are all annihilated. So when Brahma is during his day, when he's waken up, then the rest of the lower planetary systems, our planet right now, everyone is doing their own activities. But when that Brahma goes to rest and his day, his night, then everything gets destroyed. And again, when he wakes up, everything is created. Right? So our whole lifetimes, in fact, many millions of lifetimes and rebirths that we take in this world is not even equal to Brahma's one day, because so many yuga cycles, So anyway, Einstein has proved this in his theory of relativity, right? Different places have different time. So at the end of the day of Brahma, all the lower planetary systems are covered with water. They're inundated. So there are various levels of destruction or dissolution of what is called in Sanskrit as pralaya. Pralaya is not that the whole world destroys at one shot. No, at different periods. Like at the end of a day in our life, at the end of a day, there's some destruction. The body is every day getting older. There's some destruction. At the end of a year, at the end of a yuga, there's some destruction. At the end of the whole cycle, there is some destruction. At the end of 1,000 cycles, Brahma's night, there is some destruction. And when Brahma reaches 100 years and when he dies, that is the entire destruction, like that. So in Bhagavatam, it's mentioned 4 levels or 4 different kinds of pralaya. Pralaya on a subatomic scale, pralaya on a larger scale, pralaya on an even larger scale, and ultimate pralaya where everything is dissolved. So even dissolution has various scales to it. So when Brahma's night comes, all the lower planetary systems, as we have seen in the chart earlier, they all become inundated with water, and the beings on them, on the different planets, they are annihilated. After this devastation and after the night of Brahma passes, then in the morning when Brahma arises again, there is creation again. So the entire planet system, water resides, and again, all the planet creatures, everything is coming alive again. Right? And these beings come forth. Thus, subjection to creation and destruction is the nature of the material world. So again, creation, again, destruction. Like this, the next verse in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada quotes, Bhutagrama sa evayam bhutva praliyate ratri agame vashappartha prabhabatyahar agame bhutva praliyate. Again and again, this is happening. What is happening? Day comes, creation happens, night falls, again they are helplessly dissolved. So on a small scale, it will be happening constantly, but even on a larger scale, in Brahma's night, right, that is also happening. So although the living entities do not like devastation, the devastation will come and overflood the planets until all living beings on the planets stay submerged in water throughout the night of Brahma. But as day comes, the water gradually disappears. So here it's mentioned, Parastasmatu bhavo nyo vyaktat sanatana sarva sarvesu bhutesu nashtyesu cha vinashyati. So then here Prabhupada gives that, okay, this is the material world where there's a lot of dissolution, destruction at every different level. Now beyond that, what is there? He says, quoting Krishna in this 8th chapter, 20th verse, there is another nature which is eternal, which is transcendental to the manifested and unmanifested matter. This is supreme. It is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains. So here is hinting about 2 different existence. One is the material existence, and one is that spiritual existence. So the spiritual existence, they do not get annihilated. So Prabhupada continues, we cannot calculate the extent of the material universe. So having heard all these descriptions, one can actually see how vast the creation is. Sometimes they say, if you take a goni bag, you take like the rice bag, you see a huge bag, right? If you take a sack, as they call in English, you take a rice sack You take a bag, in Hindi, guni, they call it, whatever. You take a sack and you filled it up with mustard seeds, small black mustard seeds. And someone asks you, how many mustard seeds are there in the bag? Can you count? It is impossible. So similarly, there are that many Brahmand, that many material universes. And within each mustard seed, within each universe, there are innumerable planets. So we can only realize how insignificant we are in all this. And in this insignificance, we are taking everything so significantly. My life, my work, my money, my income, my this. The only goal of life is to go back home, back to Godhead, to develop love for Krishna. Else we keep rotating somewhere in that sack, somewhere in that goni. We just keep move from one planet to another planet, one life form to another life form. So we cannot calculate the extent of the material creation. But we have Vedic information that there are millions of universe within entire creation. And beyond this material universe, there is another sky which is spiritual. They are all planets there, all planets are eternal. And the lives of the all living beings on them are eternal. So it is said that this material world is only 1/4 of creation. If you think that the material world is so huge, so complex, there is nothing. It is only 1/4. 3/4 of creation is a spiritual world, 3 times more. Can you imagine? 3 times more large and vast. So all this kind of knowledge is available in the Shastras. Because for us to reach those places, we need to know where we're going. In this verse, the word bhava means nature. And here another nature is described, supreme nature, spiritual nature. In this world, we have experience also of two natures. Prabhupada says we can see spirit and matter and spirit in this world also. The living entity is spirit, Atma, soul is spirit. And as long as he is within matter, like all of us are within these bodies, the matter is moving, the body can move. And as soon as the living entity, the spiritual spark is out of the body is immovable, right? This body is an example of matter plus spirit. That's why it's moving, it's talking. Table, if you look at my table, right? Or you look at a bottle of water, is this matter or spirit? This is just matter. It's not matter plus spirit. There's no spirit here, else the bottle will move, isn't it? We don't want it to move. So that is just matter. So some things are just matter in this world. Some things are matter plus spirit. A dog, let's take for example, it's matter plus spirit. That's why it can move. Tree, it's matter plus spirit. That's why the tree is growing. It's moving. It reacts to sunlight. The spiritual nature is called Krishna's superior nature, and the material aspect is called inferior, right? Beyond this material nature, there is a superior nature which is totally spiritual. So this is actually a verse coming in Bhagavad Gita. The Prabhupada did not give the quotation here, but let's look at this. So here is chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita, 4th verse, where Krishna first lists his material energies. He says, Bhumirapo nalo vayu kammano buddhir evacha ahankara itiyam me bhinna prakriti ashtada. Krishna says there are 8 qualities of my inferior material energy, prakriti. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. All these 8 comprise of my separated material energies. Having said this, Krishna says in the next verse, Aparayam mitastwanyam. But beyond this, aparayam, beyond this, there is an anya, there's another thing. Prakritim vidyame param. There's another energy of mind, which is greater energy, param, paraprakriti. Jiva bhuta mahabaho yayedham dharyate jagat. That is the spirit soul, the Atma, Jiva bhuta. The living entity is also my energy, but it's superior to dull matter. What is the living entity doing? Yayedam dharyate jagat. The living entity is trying to control over this material world, right? Trying to exploit this material world. So the superior energy is trying to exploit the inferior energy, right? And that is true. Prabhupada gives the example of Las Vegas in America. He said Las Vegas, the Nevada desert, it was just an empty place, but some living entities came there and developed it into one very big city. He gives the example of USA. USA was simple village or jungle area. Some people came in from Europe and they develop it. So when spirit comes in, exploit matter, then things start to grow, right? It is not possible to understand this by experimental knowledge. So one cannot say that, no, I want to experience all this. I want to can I just find out, can I use a telescope to actually see where all the planets? It's beyond us because it's huge, it's vast. We can see millions and millions of stars through a telescope, but we cannot approach them. It's a fact. Like all of us know that beneath the sea, right, all the oceans and all the seas in this world that we have, beneath it, there's a lot of mysteries. There's a lot of things going on. Many things we have never understood. Many things we will not be able to understand. Because it's not possible to uncover everything. We know that. It's vast. We have to understand our incapabilities. If we cannot understand we cannot understand the material universe by experimental knowledge, if even this world we cannot understand fully, no one has ever been to the center of the earth. We can only speculate the layers of the earth and what is there in the middle and how it may be, right? But we never actually went and seen, right? It's impossible. So if we cannot understand this material world itself, what is the possibility of understanding God and his kingdom? So how can we understand the spiritual world then? Someone says that, where is the God's world? Where is Vaikuntha? Where is Goloka? Where is the spiritual world? So many things within this world, this different planets itself, we cannot understand. So it's not possible experimentally. We have to understand by hearing the Bhagavad Gita. That's why Shastra knowledge is very important. Shastric knowledge is knowledge given by God about the creation. It's easy. We just read it and understand it. It is just like when you buy something, right? Let's say you buy some gadget or something, and along with it comes a guide manual. Now you have two options. You can take the gadget and you can try to discover, find out its uses, see its functions, learn its uses on your own, or you can read the guidebook and understand. Now someone may say, I'll do it my own way, let me experiment, but you may not find out all the functionalities, right? Like many times when people first got a smartphone, they did not know that how to do a screenshot, right, of the phone. And later someone told them, you press this button and you press this button simultaneously, then a screenshot comes. You swipe with 3 fingers, then a screenshot will come. So if you've given your own self to experiment, people may not understand. It may take them forever. They may never even get to know it. But when you read the manual and guide, then you understand how things are. So Bhagavad Gita and Shastra, Veda Shastras are like the guide. Why? Because the manufacturer of the item has given that guide. Similarly, God, who's the manufacturer of this entire creation, he has given the guide in terms of Vedas. So therefore, we can get complete knowledge. We cannot understand who our Father is by experimental knowledge. We have to hear the word of our mother and believe her. If we do not believe her, there is no way of knowing. Similarly, if we just stick to the Krishna conscious method, all information about Krishna and his kingdom will be revealed. Now, hearing this, someone may say, there is a method to know my father. I can do DNA testing. But how many men will you test? How many thousands of people will you go around testing looking for your father? The best and easiest way and right way and proper way is to ask the mother. She knows. So we continue. Parastubhava means superior nature. And Vyakta means to what we see manifested. We can see that the material universe is manifested through the earth, sun, stars, and planets. And beyond this universe is another nature, an eternal nature, Avyaktat Sanatana. There's an eternal, unmanifested nature. This material nature has a beginning and an end, but the spiritual nature is Sanatana, eternal. It has neither beginning nor end. How is it possible? A cloud may pass over the sky and it may appear to cover a great distance, but actually it is only a small speck covering an insignificant part of the whole sky. Logically, Prabhupada saying, sometimes there's an overcast, they call, where a cloud comes over and covers the sky, sun. And we think, oh, the whole world is covered. That's not true. If you sit in a car and drive for a few kilometers, you will see that you came out of it. So it's just covering actually a very insignificant part. It's covering our vision. Like they say, no? Can you use a dime or a penny or a coin to cover the sun? Yes, if you bring it close enough to your eyes, you'll cover the entire sun. Does that mean that the coin has covered the whole sun? No, it's covered our vision. Right? So, because we are so small, if only a few hundred miles is covered by the cloud, it appears that the whole sky is covered. Similarly, this whole material universe is like a small, insignificant cloud in the vast spiritual sky. It is encased by the Mahat Tattva, matter. Mahat Tattva means the culmination of the sum total of matter, dark cloud. As a cloud has a beginning and an end, this material nature also has a beginning and an end. Right? That overcast will not last forever. When the clouds disappear and the sky clears, we see everything as it is. Similarly, the body is like a cloud passing over the spirit soul. It's a very nice analogy. It stays for some time, gives some byproducts, dwindles, and then vanishes. Any kind of material phenomenon that we observe is subject to the sixth transformation of material nature. It comes into being, it grows, it stays for a while, it produces some byproducts, it dwindles, and it vanishes. So these are the 6 stages of change. Everything material undergoes this. Krishna indicates that beyond this changing, cloud-like nature is a spiritual nature, which is eternal. Right? In addition, when the material nature is annihilated, the avyaktat sanatana will remain. So although this material world, these 6 changes may affect and it may go away, it may destroy, but that spiritual world remains as it is because it's never covered by any cloud. Right? Our existence is covered. Right now, we don't remember our past life. We don't remember what I've done because we are covered. We are conditioned by this body. We think we are this body because we are associating with it. In Vedic literatures, there's a good deal of information about the material and spiritual skies. Right? In many places it's mentioned. Here Prabhupada is quoting Srimad Bhagavatam. In the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there are descriptions of the spiritual sky and its inhabitants. There it's given information that there are spiritual airplanes in the spiritual sky and that the liberated entities there travel about on these airplanes like lightning. So here it's mentioned second canto, there some descriptions, but specifically third canto mentions about this, third canto 15th chapter is a darshan of Vaikuntha, right? It's mentioned what do the Vaikuntha people do. Lord Brahma is giving the vision of the spiritual world. Third canto 15th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Everything that we find here can also be found there in reality. Things that we find here enjoyable are also there, but in a perfected form. Things in this world are, temporary. They are short-living. The enjoyment is even short-come. Here in the material sky, everything is an imitation or a shadow of that which exists in the spiritual sky. Like here we are trying to find for love, affection, attention, but everything is so temporary, everything is so selfish, everything is so perverted, right? Lust is confused as love. But in the spiritual world, actually, it is real love. As in a cinema, we simply see a show or a facsimile. So maybe nowadays there's not, I don't know, people still use fax, right? We call fax where you take a object and you put it through a machine, a fax machine. You dial the number, it gets scanned, and then it gets produced on the other side. So basically, facsimile is a Xerox kind of like copy, a photocopy kind of thing. So it's a shadow. It's an image that is taken. So here Prabhupada is saying, as, again, this is 1966, Prabhupada spoke all this. So cinema also what we see, of course, nowadays in cinema, they have different technologies. They have that LED screen which plays on the back. But those days when they have this projection in cinemas, they'll have this film reel, right? On the film reel, there's small, film pieces, right? Cutouts where it keeps moving. And once they place it on the film reel, and a huge bulb is there, light, which casts the shadow on the screen. So basically what Prabhupada here is driving at is like a shadow, substance and shadow, like that. So Prabhupada is using the example of a cinema and facsimile. And this maybe nowadays people, they may not relate so much to it. How is in the cinema is there a shadow? But those days they used to have that reel from the projector room, which is above. Everyone is sitting facing the screen. And right above them is a projector room where they'll play this reel and a huge light will cast it against a white screen. So you can actually see that. So as in a cinema, we simply see a show or a facsimile of the real thing, right? In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that this material world is but a combination of matter modeled after the reality, right? It's a bad copy. They say this material world is a bad copy of the spiritual world. Just as a mannequin of a girl in the store window is modeled after a real girl. Every sane man knows that the mannequin, or that doll where people do to display dress, is an imitation. It's not a real person. Sridhar Swami says that because the spiritual world is real, this material world, which is an imitation, appears to be real. We must understand the meaning of reality Reality means existence which cannot be vanquished. Reality means eternity. So, for example, because we have real relationships in the spiritual world, in this world, we also have relationships, but they're not real. Why? Mother, father, brother, sister, cousin, whatever may have, husband, wife, children, parents, all these relationships are temporary. Today in this life, one may be a father, but is he every life a father? No. He may become father of other children. He may himself become a mother in the next life if he changes his gender. Right? In the next life, if he changes his species, isn't it? So he does not remain that same identity. But in the spiritual, it's not like that. In spiritual world, there are relationships of father, mother, brother, sister, whatnot. But those positions are eternal. Because it is eternally there, it is here as well, but in a temporary form. Right? So Prabhupada, he gives the definition of reality. Reality means two things: cannot be vanquished and must be eternal. So Prabhupada quotes from second chapter now. Remember, we discussed beyond birth and death is all about second chapter of Bhagavad Gita and eighth chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Na sato vidyate bhavo na bhavo vidyate shata ubayorapi drishtontastva anayos tattvadarshibhi. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that the non-existent, there is no endurance, and of the existent, there is no cessation. The seers have concluded by studying the nature of both, right? Matter and spirit. Because matter has no endurance, it doesn't last forever. And spirit, right, it does not end, it always continues to exist. Real pleasure is Krishna, whereas material pleasure, which is temporary, is not actual. Those who can see things as they are do not take part in shadow pleasure. The real aim of human life is to attain the spiritual sky. But as Srimad Bhagavatam points out, most people do not know about it. Human life is meant to understand reality and to be transferred to it. All Vedic literature instruct us not to remain in this darkness. Okay? Tamaso ma jyotir gamaya. Mrityo ma amrito gamaya. Like that. So move from darkness to light, move from death to deathlessness. This is what the Shastras mention. The nature of this material world is darkness, but the spiritual world is full of light. And yet it is not illuminated by fire or electricity. Sometimes we say that it has light. That means, oh, you mean there has a electricity department, something that you're generating light? Because this world, unless we create light, there is no light. It's actually dark. Right? Daytime, some light comes, but when the sun is gone, there's just pitch darkness. We have to create light. But the spiritual world is not like that. Spiritual world, everything is self-illuminating. Everything is tejas, prabhav. Everything is bright. Right? Krishna hints of this in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Natat bhasayate suryo na shashanko na pavaka yadgatva na nivartante taddama paramam mama. Krishna says that there is no surya bhasha, there is no sunshine, there is no shashanka, there is no sun, moonshine, na pavaka, nor is there any fire or electricity. Right? Electricity is fire only, actually, in one sense. Electricity can burn, isn't it? Called electrical fire. So nothing is there. Yat gatva na nivartante tad dhama bharamam mama. Once reaching that place, you don't come back. Now hearing this, someone is thinking, oh, that place has no sun, that place has no moon, that place has no fire or electricity. It must be a very dark place. No, it's full of brightness because it does not need or is dependent on these things. The spiritual world is called unmanifested because it cannot be perceived by material senses. Spiritual world is sometimes called as avyakta, that which is not manifested. Not manifested means it cannot be understood by our current material senses. Avyakto iti uktastam ahu paramam gatim yam praptya na nivartante taddama paramam mama. So Krishna is telling taddama paramam mama. He is describing his abode. That supreme abode, my abode, is unmanifested and infallible. Unmanifested means you cannot see it with your eyes. And it is a supreme destination. It has to exist because why is it a destination then? When one goes there, he never comes back. That is my supreme abode. That is the abode of God. This is the goal of life, to get out from this darkness, to go into the light. A great journey is indicated in this verse, Prabhupada is saying, wow. We have to be able to penetrate outer space, traverse the material universe, penetrate its coverings, and enter the spiritual sky. Paramam Gatim, the journey is supreme, great journey. There is no question of going a few thousand miles away from this planet and returning. Like space mission, 1960 Prabhupada saying, just go out of the atmosphere, go out of the orbit and come back. That is nothing. That is not a paramam gatim. Come out of the entire material manifestation and enter into the spiritual world. That is paramam gatim. This sort of journey is not very heroic, Prabhupada saying. We have to penetrate the whole material universe. This we cannot do by spaceships, but by Krishna consciousness. One who is absorbed in Krishna consciousness and who at time of death thinks of Krishna is at once transferred there. If we at all want to go to that spiritual sky and cultivate eternal blissful life full of knowledge, we will have to begin now to cultivate a Satchit Ananda body. So Prabhupada is saying the eagerness. If really we want to take on this heroic, supreme journey, then now, right now, we have to make ourselves ready. Just like when people travel for vacation, they buy their tickets early, they plan their schedule, they book their hotels, they plan their rides, isn't it? They take their leaves, everything is done in advance for ready for their journey. Similarly, in the long journey, the great journey of coming out of the material world, we need to plan, we need to prepare, and we need to develop the right body. We need to develop a spiritual body. Therefore, we live a spiritual life, chanting the holy name, taking prasadam, discussing spiritual matters, right? Living a Krishna-centered life, God-centered life, despite whatever we may be doing. It is said that Krishna has a Satchidananda body, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha. And we also have a similar body of eternity, knowledge and bliss, Satchit Ananda. But it is a very small and is covered by dress of matter, a very small existence. If somehow or other we are able to give up this false dress, right, we can reach the spiritual kingdom. If once we can attain that spiritual world, return is not necessary. You don't have to come back. Yam praptya na nivartante. Everyone then should try to go to the Dhama Paramam, the supreme abode, Krishna's supreme abode. Krishna himself comes to call us and gives us literatures as guidebooks and sends his bona fide representatives. Right? So this is God's mercy that he's not left us destitute, lost somewhere. No. Krishna is coming himself as different avatars. Krishna is giving us the Veda Shastras. Krishna is sending the Acharyas, the spiritual masters and saints to guide us. We should take advantage of these facilities given to human life. For one who reaches the supreme abode, penances, austerities, yoga, meditation, and so on are no longer required. And for one who does not reach it, all penances, austerities are a useless waste of time. So someone who has become God conscious, there's no need to execute all this stuff. And for one who's executing all these things, but not reaching God, then it's just a useless endeavor. The human form of life is an opportunity to get this boon, and it is the duty of the state, parents, teachers, guardians to elevate those who have acquired this human form of life to attain this perfection of life. So sad nowadays, but people are, who are state leaders and parents and teachers and guardians and whatnot, they're leading people in a wrong direction. They're making their dependents to get more materially absorbed. Learn this, do that, right? No one is guiding their dependents to become God conscious. Simply eating, sleeping, mating, and quarreling like cats and dogs is not civilization. We should properly utilize this human form of life and take advantage of this knowledge to prepare ourselves in Krishna consciousness, so that 24 hours of the day we will be absorbed in Krishna and at death at once transfer to that spiritual sky. So here someone may think, how to do 24 hours bhakti? Well, it's very easy. We are working to earn some money. Now question comes, what do you do with the money? If you use it for Krishna service, then that is bhakti. Right? We know that is an external activity. Just I need to go to school, I'm doing something. This is all a formality. But ultimately, internally, we should always be absorbed. So we do morning chanting, worshipping the deities. Whatever you eat, make sure it's offered first to Krishna, right? Attending as much as you can spiritual yatras, traveling to holy places. If you have to travel, you love traveling. Why to travel here and there? Travel to holy places. Visit only dhams. Spend your money, your resources in for Krishna conscious causes, right? Not for sense enjoyment. You have a beautiful home. Invite people to come. Invite devotees. Have programs. Purushassa parapartha bhaktya labdhyastu ananyaya yasyantastani bhutani yena sarvam idam tatam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his abode, he is all-pervading and everything is situated in him. If we are at all interested in reaching the supreme abode, the process as indicated here is bhakti. Bhaktya means devotional service, submission to the Supreme Lord. So now here Prabhupada is going to give a definition of bhakti. It's a very interesting section. The root word of bhaktya is bhaj, bhaj dhatu, they say in Sanskrit or Hindi, which means service. Bhaj means service. The definition of bhakti given in Narada Pancharatra is freedom from designation. Bhakti means you don't have any upadi. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam. Free from all designations. Right now we have a designation: male, female, Indian, not Indian, Chinese, American. These are all different designations. But really we are servants of God. That is the real identity. If one is determined to get out of all these designations that are attached to the pure spirit soul, which arise due to body and are always changed when the body is changed, these designations keep changing. This life, one may be a male. Past life, one could be a female. Next life, we don't want to even have a next life. One can attain to bhakti. Bhakti is realizing that one is spirit, pure spirit, and not matter at all. Our real identity is not this body, which is simply a covering of the spirit, but our real identity is Dasa, servant of Krishna. When one is situated in his real identity and is rendering service to Krishna, he is a bhakta. Hrishikena Hrishikesha Sevanam. When our senses are free from material designations and we utilize them in the service of the master of the senses, Hrishikesha, O Krishna. So this is bhakti. When we use our senses, Hrishi, Kena, using our senses, for Hrishikesha Sevanam, the master of the senses. So our eyes are meant to take the darshan of the Lord. This tongue, this mouth is meant for tasting the prasadam of the Lord. The ears are meant to hear Krishna Katha and Krishna Kirtan about the Lord. So like this, all the senses should be utilized in serving the master of the senses, who is the actual owner of all these things. As Rupa Goswami points out, we have to serve Krishna favorably, anukulyen. Generally, we want to serve God for some material purpose of gain. Right? Everyone is very selfish. They just want to worship God or go to the temple. Generally, when there's some exams or whenever there's some difficulty, then people start going to temple. Of course, one who goes to God for material gain is better than one who never goes, right? Something better than nothing. But we should be free from the desire of material benefit, right? One should not have that selfish mentality. Our aim should be to understand Krishna. Of course, Krishna is unlimited. It is not possible to understand him, but we have to accept what we can understand. That there's some things, of course, we can understand. The Bhagavad Gita is specifically presented for our understanding. Through receiving knowledge in this way, we should know that Krishna is pleased and we should serve him favorably according to his pleasure. Krishna consciousness is a great science with immense literatures, and we should utilize them for the attainment of bhakti. This is very important. Many people take Krishna consciousness or ISKCON as a fan club. If you like Krishna, everyone loves Krishna, then you should join ISKCON. Everybody there loves Krishna. Well, that's a different thing. It's not a fan club. It's not a social club. Krishna consciousness is a great science with immense literature. So just sitting in Krishna consciousness, being an ISKCON devotee, putting on tilak, kantimala, holding, okay, that's fine. But one should also dive into the literatures and understand it wholly. What is Krishna? What is Krishna consciousness? Purusha sa paraha. In the spiritual sky, the Supreme Lord is present as the Supreme Person, Parah Purusha, Parama Purusha. There are innumerable self-luminous planets there, and each one is an expansion of Krishna resides. So many Vaikuntha lokas are there, and in each one of the spiritual planets, so many Vaikunthas are there. Krishna in some forms reside. He is residing as Madhusudana, he's residing as Murari, Trivikrama, Hayagriva, Vamana, like that. He's in so many of his forms. They are four-armed and they have innumerable names. They are all persons. They are not impersonal, right? These Purushas or persons can be approached by bhakti, not by challenge, not by philosophical speculation or mental concoctions, nor by physical exercises, but by devotion without deviation of fruitive activity. That means not selfish, motivated devotion. So sometimes people, they think that, let me analyze and critically assess. In that way, I'll understand God. One should accept. No point in arguing. What is the Purusha? The Supreme Person like? How is he? Yasyantastani bhutani yena sarvam idam tatam. Every living entity is everything is within him. He is the owner of everything. Yet he is without, all pervading. Right? Everything is within him, yet he is without anything. How is that? Prabhupada says, he is like the sun, which is situated in one place, yet is present all over by its rays. Right? In all parts of the world, you can see the sun. But actually, the sun is in one place only. Although God is situated in his Dhama Paramam, his energies are distributed everywhere. Nor is he different from his energies, inasmuch as the sunshine and the sun are non-different. Right? When you open your window in the morning, you say, oh, the sun has come. Right? Let the sun in, some people say. But what comes in actually is the sunshine. The actual sun plant doesn't come in your room, isn't it? But sunshine and sun are non-different. At the same time, there's a difference also. Right? So you can block the sunshine. You cannot block the sun. So like this, these are some interesting examples given to understand Krishna and Krishna's energy. Since Krishna and his energies are non-different, we can see Krishna everywhere if we are advanced in devotional service. So here Prabhupada quotes Brahma Samhita, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santaf Sadaiva Hridaye Su Vilokayanti. That when we anoint our eyes with the salve of devotion, of love, prema, anjanam, then we can actually see Krishna within our hearts eternally, always. Those who are filled with love of God see God constantly before them. It is not that we saw God last night and he is no longer present. No. For one who is Krishna conscious, Krishna is always present and can be perceived constantly. This is actually the goal of life, to be able to see God constantly. We simply have to develop the eyes to see him. Due to our material bondage, the covering of the material senses, we cannot understand what is spiritual. But this ignorance can be removed by the process of chanting Hare Krishna. How is this? The Prabhupada explains how chanting can remove all these upadhis, all these coverings, all these clouds that we saw earlier. A sleeping man may be awakened by sound vibration, isn't it? All of us use an alarm to wake up. Although a man may be, for all intents and purposes, unconscious, he cannot see, he cannot feel, he cannot smell, etc. The sense of hearing is so prominent that a sleeping man may be awakened just by sound vibration. Right? Sometimes even the phone is kept on vibration mode and the vibrator vibrates. And even that we heard and we can wake up. Similarly, the spirit soul, although now overpowered by the sleep of material contact, sleep of Maya, can be revived by this transcendental sound vibration. So here Prabhupada says that all the senses are there, but why we give importance to hearing, like when we chant Hare Krishna, we should chant audibly so that we can hear the words. So Prabhupada says the sound vibration of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. As we are chanting, it's entering. The hearing is very important. Is simply an address to the Supreme Lord and his energy. Prabhupada gives the definition of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare means energy and Krishna is the name of the Supreme Lord. So when we chant Hare Krishna, we are saying, oh energy of the Lord, which is Srimati Radharani, by the way. Oh Lord, please accept me. We have no other prayer for acceptance by the Lord. There is no question of praying for daily bread, for the bread is always there. Right? Prabhupada says, why do people go to temples or places of worship and ask, please God, give us our daily bread? That means you want bread more than you want God. Right? God will give you anyways what's needed. Bread is always there, Prabhupada saying. Hare Krishna is but an address to the Supreme Lord, requesting him to accept us. So this is the mood when we chant the mantra, right? That we are requesting, my Lord, please accept me as your servant. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself prayed. This is Shastakam. Mahaprabhu has written this beautiful prayers. Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitamam vishame bhavam budo kripaya tava pada pankaja stita dhuli sadrisham vichintaya. O son of Maharaj Nanda, Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, and although I am so, somehow or other, I have fallen in this ocean of birth and death. I'm your servant, but somehow I fall into this ocean of birth of death. Please, therefore, pick me up from this ocean of death and fix me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Right? Reinstate me as your servant. Basically, it's a prayer for reinstatement. The only hope for a man fallen in the middle of the ocean is that someone will come and pick him up. If someone just comes and hauls him but a few feet out of the water, he is immediately relieved. Similarly, if we are somehow lifted from this ocean of birth and death by the process of Krishna consciousness, we will be immediately relieved. Although we cannot perceive the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord, his name, his fame, his activities, if we establish ourselves in Krishna consciousness by chanting, gradually God will reveal himself before us. So when we hear, we chant, we are actually getting relieved from this suffering. And after relief, we get to reveal, we get the reveal. We cannot see God by our own endeavor, but if we qualify ourselves, God will reveal himself. Then we will see. No one can order God to come before him and dance. But we do have to work in such a way that Krishna will be pleased to reveal himself to us. So we want to please God, right? Not order God. Krishna gives us information about himself in the Bhagavad Gita, and there is no question about doubting it. We just have to feel it, understand it. There is no preliminary qualification necessary for understanding the Bhagavad Gita because it is spoken from the absolute platform. The simple process of chanting the names of Krishna will reveal what one is, what God is, what the material and spiritual universes are, why we are conditioned, how we can get out of the conditioning, and everything else step by step. So we have to take up this process of chanting seriously, and that actually gives us the understanding, in our heart of all these answers of life. Actually, the process of belief and revelation is not foreign to us, right? So here Prabhupada is speaking about relating to the Abrahamic religions where belief, revelation, where things will be revealed to you. They say like that. This is also there in our concept, Prabhupada saying. Every day we place faith in something that we have confidence will be revealed later, isn't it? When many of us enter a bus, we are putting faith on the bus driver that he will reach us to our destination. No one goes and asks the bus driver, do you have a license? How many years you have been driving? Are you drunk? Are you sober? We have faith. We enter the bus, we sit in our seat. We understand that he will get us to our destination. We may purchase a ticket to go to India, and on the basis of that ticket, we have faith that we will be transported there. Why should we pay money for a ticket? We do not just give the money to anyone. The company is authorized and the airlines are authorized. So faith is created. Okay? When you purchase something, we check. Without faith, we cannot take one step forward in the ordinary course of life. There's a nice saying that faith is required in every step of life. Why not put faith in the Supreme? Faith we must have, but it must be faith in what is authorized. Right? Like a simple, every guy knows, you go to a barber, to a salon, you're putting faith in your barber. You do not know his name. You may not know much about that person. You just go tell your haircut. He takes a blade and he puts it on your head and on your neck, even if you're shaving. Still, you have faith that he's not going to cut your neck. Isn't it? You're putting so much faith in people like this. So this is not blind faith. It is not that we have blind faith, but that we have accept something that is recognized. This is an establishment, this is a famous shop. Thousands of people have been cutting their hair here. So we have that authority, we have that faith, and therefore we're accepting it. The Bhagavad Gita is recognized and accepted as a scripture by all classes of men in India, and as far as outside of India is concerned, many scholars, theologians, and philosophers accept Bhagavad Gita as a great authoritative work. There is no question that the Bhagavad Gita is authority. No question, it is authority. Even Professor Albert Einstein, such a scientist, read the Bhagavad Gita regularly. There's quotations there. Einstein reads the Bhagavad Gita. From the Bhagavad Gita, we have to accept that there is a spiritual universe, which is the kingdom of God. If somehow we are transported to a country where we are informed that we will no longer have to undergo birth, old age, disease, and death, will we not be happy? Because in this world, if someone says, go to this place, there is no suffering, you don't need to work, right? All your needs will be taken care of. You don't have to work, you can just enjoy, you don't die. You're so happy. If we heard of such a place, surely we would try as hard as possible to go there. So now, having spoken all this, Prabhupada is saying, then why you're not endeavoring for it? If you accept, you realize, then why you're not making the effort for it? No one wants to grow old. No one wants to die. Indeed, a place free of such sufferings would be our heart's desire. Why do we want this? Because we have the right to, we have the prerogative, we to want it. We are eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge, but we are being covered by this material entanglement. We have forgotten ourselves. Therefore, the Bhagavad Gita gives us the advantage of being able to revive our original status. Then Prabhupada says every kind of transcendentalist accepts. The Shankarites, that means those who follow Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya, and the Buddhists claim that the world beyond is void. That after this life, there's nothing. But the Bhagavad Gita does not disappoint us like this. Right? It's very disappointing to know that you did all this endeavor, all this effort in the life, and after life, there's nothing. If after that, there's nothing, then why don't you die now? Why you live your whole life, so much disappointment, so much difficulty, so much endeavor just to get zilch, zero? If ultimately you feel there's nothing there in life, then why are you endeavoring so much? But we say, no, we know that the endeavor we are putting in this life is shaping our future spiritual life. We need to work hard. The philosophy of voidlessness has simply created atheists. We are spiritual beings and we want enjoyment. But as soon as our future is void, we will become inclined to enjoy this material life. Anyways, at the end, nothing's going to, I have one life, one time. Let me do as much as I can and leave. But that doesn't make sense. In this way, the impersonalists discuss the philosophy of voidism while trying as much as possible to enjoy this material life. How much can they enjoy? One may enjoy speculation in this way, but there is no spiritual benefit. Brahma bhuta prasannatma na sochati na kankshati samasarveshu bhutesu madbhaktim labate param. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed to every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service. So this is the right state to be, to understand that there is the supreme destination. He who has progressed in devotional life and who is relishing service to Krishna will automatically become detached from material enjoyment. The symptom of one absorbed in bhakti is that he is fully satisfied with Krishna. So here Prabhupada is urging all of us to take up to bhakti. Why delay? If you know it's so important, so great, there is such a promising future in all this, then why don't become a devotee now? Why don't practice seriously? To the degree that we become spiritually absorbed, to that degree, material attraction and absorption goes down. Right? So in this way, we see this chapter, chapter 4, entitled The Sky Beyond This Universe, which is the spiritual sky, the spiritual abode of the Lord. So thank you all very much. We'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.